today I have one of my good friends, Ben Zogby, here with me on camera. He doesn't do any videos anymore. He wants to remain low key. Except for me, we got him on a little bit of a surprise. He just sold his company for, well, I'll let you reveal the amount, but it's close to $2 million. He has an info company, a coaching business. I wanted to bring him on, do like a little podcast type of thing for 10, 15 minutes, just kind of talk about his experience as an entrepreneur, what he went through managing a team, why he sold the company, how he sold the company, what he's doing now. Because I think his experience, because I saw him start an Instagram page from scratch. I saw that thing at 10K followers when his face wasn't on it, and it wasn't really a company at the time, and to where he went and sold it for however much he sold it for and what he's doing now. And so I think a lot of you watching this, because what I do is info, kind of, help people build coaching companies, social media companies, stuff like that, scalable sales systems, etc. It's something he did, he can kind of speak to, and he was a client of mine way back, like 4 years ago, 4 years ago now.
4 years, yeah.
And so this is Ben, and I want him to kind of intro himself, like how much you sell the company for.
What's up, guys? So I sold my company for $1.8 million. Nick was a big part of that, and we really started going in 2018. And it was a trading coaching business, and it started as just like selling a course, and over time it evolved into what we call as a trading room subscription. So we really developed the product a ton over the last few years. And the other side of that equation is where Nick came in really heavily, was in customer acquisition. So I've told him this 3 times since he got here, is that I consider myself as someone who sucks at customer acquisition. I'm great at product, I'm great at the rest of the thing, but the only thing that I have trouble with was customer acquisition. And Nick really stepped in and helped us kind of scale that side of the equation, where I felt I had a really good product. Nick came in and brought me targeted people.
I want to start, before we get there, I want to start with like where I saw the company, because for reference for everyone watching this, it's like back in 2018, 2019. I don't know when you started your page. I think it was 2018.
Yeah.
So I started my first like Instagram pages then, and yours was like a trading Instagram page. And I'm curious, how did you actually get started? Because I know you were buying like shout-outs.
Yeah.
You were buying like shout-outs for me way back. And so how did you actually, because you were an engineer.
Yeah.
You just graduated college or whatever, engineer. How did you actually get started with starting like that page? Because I think a lot of people maybe are skilled, or they play guitar, like I have this skill or this thing, and you actually went and like did it.
So truth be told, I never really imagined building an entire business out of it, let alone selling the business. What my goal was to kind of just explore what the market looked like in terms of people that were like-minded, because I was really into day trading, and I saw day trading as my escape from the 9 to 5. I was an engineer. I graduated with a chemical engineering degree from WPI. In Worcester, Massachusetts. I graduated, I was in the industry for a year and a half, and trading for me was an escape from what I thought to be the next 40 years of working in industry, which I really didn't want to do. So trading was the escape, and then the Instagram page that Nick came across, and I was buying shout-outs from Nick. I didn't even know it was Nick at the time. Buying shout-outs from these pages, and that was my way of escaping the 9 to 5 and kind of just like using as an outlet for all the stuff I was trying to do on the side. And eventually, my content started out sucking, but eventually I sucked. Eventually it got to the point where people were catching on, and they were like taking an interest in what I was saying. And just through trial and error and auto split testing my content, I basically got to a place where I was growing a following, and I was growing quickly. And that was a result of me just posting content about what I was interested in.
And I think one of the biggest things is not maybe the content. I don't know, like when you say it sucked, like what do you mean? Like in your opinion?
Like if I saw the content today, I'd be like, this guy's
Yeah, but why did it work then? What do you think? Because I think I know why it worked.
Because people's monkey brains weren't demanding videos and like high quality video and like engaging.
I do think why it worked though is like what you were putting out was a new idea to the market at the time that sounded unbelievable to people, but you made it seem believable.
Sure.
And you made it feel like, oh wow, like I could do this too, and like the content, it resonated for sure, because you grew followers, like for sure. I would say, like, I would correct you there. Like,
whatever.
Like, I wouldn't say it sucked.
I thought it was pretty bad.
Okay.
I mean, there's definitely a learning curve, and I definitely figured it out eventually. And that's when we really started to grow.
When did it turn? Yeah. So when did it turn into a real company?
When I started hiring people and systemizing things. So for reference, I tried to sell the company in December of 2020. And if you guys remember, during COVID, everyone was at home. Everyone was like, their job security
That was
went
December
out
of
the window.
2020?
December of 2020.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, we were just started working with you.
So we had just started working. The company was like this.
Yeah. So for reference, guys, Ben, maybe a year-ish prior, you brought on your one video guy and said, I'm going to go put my face on the page and do video.
Yeah.
And things started to go like up.
Yeah.
And then we came on and we brought a lot of traffic in. We basically used Instagram shout-outs and blew his page up, grew it really quickly. And that's when it went. I remember the December or November, Black Friday. That was huge.
Parabolic.
It was like 290 or 300 or something.
293. Yep.
Okay, and so then you tried to sell it. I did not know that.
So I tried to sell it. I listed with, I'm not going to name the company, but I listed with a company, and they basically said, no one's going to buy this. It's you, man, running this course. You're responsible for all of the traffic acquisition, even though most of it was Nick's company. But you are facilitating, as in me, was facilitating all of the customer acquisition, facilitating all the fulfillment and everything in between. So they asked me a couple questions, which I took to the bank and I really, really internalized for later. In that, what is someone going to do once they buy this company? Are they going to be able to continue running it? And the answer was no, because once we removed me from the equation, there was no business. And the business was not self-sustaining, and it was not attractive to any sort of sophisticated buyer, because anyone with a brain was going to see that you can't just pick this up, put either switch the face or take the face out. Once that face and the personality was removed, there was no business. So I took that to the bank, and over the next couple of years, I really put into effect some big efforts to systemize the business. Now I can give you kind of the keys
I feel
here.
Before we get there, I think there's a couple timelines, right?
Yep.
We went from that 2020 point where they said no. I feel like you didn't try to sell it again, or didn't think about selling it again.
No, I didn't think about it for a while.
And then 2021, what did we do that changed things? The subscription stuff, right?
So subscriptions, yeah, because I saw subscriptions as a card of good faith that I could bake into my company, where someone that buys my company, at least they get subscription revenue. They know how much plus or minus 10K is coming into the bank account every month. And so that really, it mitigates risk for buyers, because they know exactly how many subscribers you have. They know the exact history of your subscriber count, and they can take that to the bank month over month. So they buy the company on January 1st with 1,000 subscribers at $100 a month. They know that on February 1st, within 5%, the exact amount of money that's going to hit the account.
Yeah.
So to any sort of buyer who's looking to mitigate risk, and all buyers at that level are looking to mitigate risk first and foremost, structuring the business like that really takes a leap in making the business attractive to those buyers. So we did that through subscriptions, and that was this guy's idea as well. And once we did that, the business sort of started to run itself. And instead of me doing everything with my video guy, I had 9 employees that were basically running the whole thing. Was overhead higher? Yes. Was the scalability kind of plateaued? Sure. However, the business became sellable. And in a couple years, in late 2022, so I tried selling it the first time in December 2020, just tried selling it the second time in December 2022. The second time, we ended up getting 3 competing bids and driving the price up over $300,000 throughout the bidding process, which was pretty insane to go from nobody wants this to we want this so bad we're going to drive the price up $300K between and among each other for the bid. So that was pretty cool.
Let's talk about the process of, because I know it a decent amount because we've talked about it, but I'm curious. I have more questions and whatnot, just for my own curiosity. I think it'll be good for anyone watching. But the process of, because your face was all over the brand.
Yep.
And so let's say someone starts a coaching business and it's them and they're a personal brand. How does that shift start to happen to your face being off it so it's sellable and it's a real business outside of them? Because something that Ben and I have talked about as well, and just a conclusion I came to on my own, is The same way I build a business to sell it is the same way I'm going to build a business to systemize it so I'm not in it and I can just work on investments all day while the money starts to come in or just keeps coming in.
It's just good practice.
Yeah. And so what was that process like? That's something that I'm curious about because I know that we've talked about certain like tracking and just understanding the back end and then moving the marketing spend off of just me towards, let's say a company page. But what does that look like?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, what I had made for myself was a role where I was Jake from State Farm. And the brand was High Strike. I was Ben from High Strike, right? And in order to make the business sellable and systemizable, I needed to divorce Ben from High Strike, Jake from State Farm, right? And that's possible. It's super possible, but it's not an overnight process. So what I did was instead of having me be the only coach, the only person that is fulfilling on our products, right? And if you're a coaching business, you can probably attest to this, is that you're the one probably doing most of the fulfillment. You hire people that can do the fulfillment and you pay them a salary. Now, this is a pretty fundamental jump to take. There's a bunch of risk involved. And if you kind of just do it at whim, you could go very wrong with it. But basically what you want to do is you want to distribute that workload, or at least for me, what my process was I distributed that workload off of myself and into the hands of capable people so that they could run it. Yes, you're going to assume some extra overhead here, but you just have to have either existing margins that can cover that overhead, or you have to be willing to spend a little bit more money on some salaries there. So that's the first step, right? And then after that step is done, there's kind of a fine walk balance that you have to do in terms of the front-facing content to the people that have not already bought into your product. You need to switch the marketing campaign efforts from flow from Progressive to Progressive Insurance, or Ben from High Strike here back with another video to here's how to trade the VWAP in 3 simple steps by this voiceover guy that may or may not be Ben from High Strike.
Or could be an AI from 11 Labs. Or
something. Right. So what we started doing was we did a very phase-by-phase process. So the first phase was instead of me hopping in front of the camera and saying, you got to do ABC to be a profitable trader, or you're going to be a broke ass, right? I stopped doing those types of videos, and then I moved into videos where I was screen sharing, and I walked you through either a trading chart or a graphic that I put together or some other engaging video that was still going to retain audience engagement, but didn't depend directly on my face. And after that sort of content was like tested out a few times, you start to get a feel for what's working and what's not, and you can actually systemize that and train people out. So the next step for me was to create an SOP on how that was done and to help train people on my team, on my staff to create that content. Now, in the span of about 6 months, we went from Ben's making all the videos, 1 video a day, to we're posting about 3-4 videos a week, and they're made by someone on the team, right? So one of the people doing the fulfillment, right? And you really eliminate any concentration risk there, because if one of them were to leave, like you still got two more. And thankfully for us, we had a huge fan base of loyal people that are product buyers, that people that are in our product that we could pull from at any time to kind of bring them up into the ranks into our company. So that was great. What we did was we just kept systemizing and recording SOPs and writing down what we were doing and getting the company into a place where everything was being done by the people that were hired instead of the CEO, which was me.
And I think if there's a way I could describe it, especially what's going, like I'm in the middle of that right now. I think there's 3 stages, and you correct me if I'm wrong or if you want to add context. But to me, stage 1 is let's get this thing off the ground. My face is going to be on it, that type of thing. We're just trying to get product market fit and like make sure we like make some sales here. And then the second stage of that is like, oh, I'm going to build a team and overhead's going to go up and my profit margins are going to be cut and I might make less money for like 6 months to a year as I build this team out. And then the third stage of that is where that team starts to perform better than you were performing on your own, and margins are good and revenue goes up. And now it's like this business is systemized. I could sell it, I could keep scaling it, I could add more team members to it. I'm a real business owner at that point. And that to me is like the 3 stages of actually coming from, oh, I'm a personal brand, I have like an offer, I'm a coach on how to pet dogs, and
I'll buy that.
That's where it becomes like, oh, I have a company that's a dog walking company, and I have 500 people that work for me, or I don't know, maybe like 15.
It's a lot.
But yeah,
company.
That's a big company. Or like 15. But that's like the actual progression, I guess you could say. And would you say there's anything I'm missing there?
Yeah,
like,
I think you're absolutely right on the 0 to 1 being the first stage. Like, if you're just starting, I wouldn't be overly obsessed with your SOPs and who you're hiring.
Or getting somebody else to be like the face of it.
Yeah,
Like that doesn't
yeah.
matter right now.
Yeah, what matters if you're just starting is right. It's the 0 to 1. It's the fight to get something, fight to get something, and then once you get something, you transform it into exactly what you want. So I think you're absolutely right on the 0 to 1. And then once you're at a point, like there are several successful, many successful businesses that are just run by one person, and that's great. That's fine. If you want to keep your overhead low and you just want to take home all the profits, and that's more than fine. I think,
it's also super stress-free. Like I think something that you and I could both talk about is like that middle stage to me.
Yeah.
Is like max stress, problems, people trying to fuck you over. Like, I don't mean to interrupt your.
No, you're good.
But what would you talk about in terms of that middle stage of like that transition between I'm a single person just doing my thing, like I'm making $100 a month on 90% margin, to I'm making $150 a month on like 50% margin. This is weird, but I'm systemized. Like I'm out of, so like there's a lot of stress in that like middle section. And
well, I'm not going through that middle section again.
Right. Okay.
My new company, I'm doing it myself.
You're just doing it yourself. Are you ever gonna?
No.
No.
I'm not working with that.
Why not? Why not?
Because I trust myself and myself only. I mean, and like you said, I'm in a spot right now where I don't need $2,000 extra profit a month to take on $100K of overhead and make an extra $102,000 in revenue. Like I just don't need that, So having gone through that transformation process and having seen how difficult it is, I can't say that I'm going to try and do that again. What I'm really after now is a business that is run by me. I don't mind doing all the fulfillment. I don't mind having fewer clients working with fewer clients. I don't mind that. I just, that there's a certain level of uncertainty that comes with going from not sellable to sellable that some people are cut out for. Obviously, I did it with High Strike. We got there. We ended up getting there. We the wire hit the account. All is good, but the road to getting there is
nasty. It's a nasty road.
It's more just uncertain, and it's more just like you're taking a leap of faith. And if you do something wrong, then you're gonna get set back a step, and you're gonna have to climb out from that. It's definitely worth it. Having gone through it and having sold the company, it's definitely worth it. It's just there's a big level of uncertainty there that I'm not sure a lot of people would want.
I also think it's like the natural progression of just like choosing to make like, or just like make the next step like happen. It's like down here at the very like start, it's you're a really high paid employee for yourself basically.
Yeah.
And then up here, it's I have a real company and I have a bunch of people that work for me. And if I don't show up for a month, I still make money. But the middle period is where you lose your hair, or just like you just have a lot of relationships maybe that fail, or people try to take advantage, or somebody might have been the right person here but they're not the right person here. And I was exaggerating a little bit here at the start, but it just like that's where you kind of like go through the mud kind of.
Well, that's where you learn the most. That's where you learn the most. And I think I wouldn't have the perspective I have right now had I just chosen to coast with High Strike and keep it at $100K a month, all for me.
Do you regret anything at all?
No, nothing. I think bumps in the road are lessons, and as long as we come out on top, we're good.
For sure. Talk about and we're getting a little bit longer in the video here. Talk about the sales process to me, to like
daunting.
Actually selling this thing.
Yeah.
And what you went through, and the process of actually like making it work, and talking to private equity buyers. I love
that question. So here's the thing. I love the guys that I sold to. I talk to them every day. I didn't think this was a legit offer until the day we signed the purchase agreement and the wire hit my account. I just didn't. My antennas were up too much. Obviously, I played everything close to the chest. Obviously, I didn't, extend any unnecessary risk. But I thought that companies were out there looking to learn as much as they can about other companies and take that information and try and run their own business. Obviously, there's only a certain amount of due diligence you can do as a seller, but until push comes to shove, you never know what someone's intentions are until they vote with their actions. And it turned out the firm I was talking to, very high quality firm, very, very good character. And, now they're running the business very well and everything went according to plan. But I did not count a bird in hand until it was 100% in hand. And that's something that I think a lot of people don't do, is that they don't follow through. In the sales process, they get an LOI, which is a letter of intent. They get an offer and they're like, this is done. You are just in the stage one once you get the offer, and people don't understand that.
When was it from you list
Yep.
to LOI and then to actually getting the wire? What was the timeline?
So listing, just say day one was listing. I'd say the LOIs started coming in on days 15 through 30. So LOIs, they have an expiration date, and that's intended for the buyer or the prospective buyer to have some sort of pressure on the seller, it's not uncommon for that to happen. So we had about 15 days to accept those LOIs. 3 of them came in. They were bidding in and of themselves, drove the price up $300,000, which was awesome. But again, I didn't think it was awesome at that point. I thought it was, just part of this process that's still uncertain. And, that was me kind of defending myself against disappointment if and when I found out that, these offers weren't really legit, but they were. And I didn't know that. And sometimes they're not real. But in terms of timeline, it was LOIs came right off the bat, but then comes purchase agreement negotiation, purchase price allocation, due diligence, drafting of the agreements themselves. I think our purchase agreement was 300 pages long. So that took 6 months.
Wow.
And doesn't always take 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, typically it takes between 45 and 60 days. For me, it took 180 days. And that was partially due to just private equity firms. They have this process that they go through, and there's no negotiating them on what that process looks like. And it's from a risk mitigation standpoint, right? If you're managing $200 million and you're allocating that, in $2 million chunks, each chunk that you're allocating needs to have a considerable amount of due diligence, right? Because say you allocate 10 chunks of $2 million and one deal goes wrong, you're down 20% on a $20 million investment. You need to make sure every single one of those deals is legit. So they were vetting us for 6 months. And part of that, I think, was looking at the performance of the company to see if I took my foot off the gas throughout the negotiation process. And thankfully, I kept my foot on the gas because I was under the philosophy that I don't even know that this thing's ever going to sell. I don't have a bird in hand yet. I need to keep my foot on the gas because if I'm left with this business at the end of the day, it's going to need to still be working and it's going to need to still provide me income. So thankfully, I did keep my foot on the gas, but a lot of times, unfortunately, what we see is people get offers, kind of looping back to my first statement here, they get offers and they take the foot on the gas because they think the deal is sealed and the deal takes 6 months. And in that 6 months, their business declines and declines and declines and declines because the seller's like, okay, I'm selling. Or they do something ridiculous, like they goose numbers or they stuff all their customers through a $1 product to tap out and they break the business. And obviously buyers see that. So if anyone is selling their business right now and thinking of offering a lifetime sale for $50 to all their customers to just tap out their business one more time, your business will not sell. And they're watching that. So that's my word to the wise.
So basically, whether you want to sell or whether you want to have a systemized business with you removed from the process, you have to do the exact same thing.
Yeah, and exactly. Yeah. That's the markings of a good business as well.
Cool, dude. I mean, we kind of covered everything. I'm curious. I mean, one, where can they find you?
Yeah.
And two, what are you working on now? And where's your mind go in terms of like biggest opportunity like that you're working on right now?
Yeah, so I think I typically align opportunities with skill sets, and what skill set can I bring to the table? And I think right now my biggest skill set is having navigated this sale process and sold a company for millions of dollars. And I think to a lot of people that's an attractive milestone that a lot of people would like to get to. So right now my focus is geared towards helping people in their journey, and structuring a company that can really be a win-win for people that are looking to sell their business or get their business to a spot where it will be sellable one day. So I've founded a company called exafrog.com, and we're in a very early stages right now. We're working with about 6 businesses so far. Not really a ton of capacity to take on a ton of new people right now at the moment. But what we're looking to do with those businesses is work them into a sellable position, and eventually, inevitably, but eventually achieve a exit for those business owners. And that process can take anywhere from 3 to 6 months, but I think it's a life-changing process, and it's something that I want to be involved in a business owner's journey.
Yeah, amazing. And where can they find you?
Exafrog.com.
No more socials.
No more socials. I'm off social. I'm living the semi-retired life, and I'm only doing things that I really want to do, and that's such a blessing. And with that comes a little bit of privacy, but I agreed to do this video, put my face out there again. Exafrog.com. You can use our valuation tool to see what your company.
So guys, that link will be in the description, exafrog.com. If you want to sell your company, if you have a company, you want to sell it, you can go there.
Talk to me.
And talk to Ben. If you want to start a company, if you want to grow your company a little bit more, my links are in the description. We have all our free resources down there. We have our link to book a call with one of my right-hand guy on the team to talk about what we could do to work together. And my job is to get you to the point where you could sell and you can talk to Ben, or you could just systemize it and like do your own thing. So there's going to be a video every single week on this channel. Go subscribe, go check out Ben's stuff, go check out my stuff below. Ben, any last words?
Yeah, Nick will never say this, but his agency was one of the biggest reasons why we went from making $10K a month to $200K a month. So he won't tell you that, but I'll tell you that. He didn't pay me to say that either.
I appreciate that a lot, bro.
It's true.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. This is my man, Ben. If you guys want to get in touch with him, his link's below. My links are below. One video every week. Go hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you guys on the next one.